Job descriptions are written for compliance and liability, not to tell you what the hiring manager actually wants. That gap has always existed. In the AI era, it has never been wider. Jason and May applied for the same role. Same posting, same listed requirements. Jason's CV matched the description almost perfectly. Right degree, right years, right tools listed. May's matched less precisely. A gap in one requirement. Fewer years. May got the offer. Not because the hiring manager ignored the posting. Because the posting was never actually describing what they were screening for. It described what HR and legal needed documented. The hiring manager was looking for something else, and May demonstrated it without being asked by name. If you are applying for roles using the job description as your guide for what to emphasize, you are optimizing for the wrong document. The posting exists for legal defensibility and a screenable baseline. Necessary, but increasingly disconnected from what the hiring manager actually uses to decide. What hiring managers are screening for now is judgment, learning speed, and AI fluency. None of these screen cleanly through a checklist of credentials. Candidates who only optimize for the written requirements are competing on the wrong axis, while candidates who understand the unwritten one-win interviews their CV alone would not predict. Job descriptions lag reality for structural reasons. They are often written by HR, optimizing for consistency and legal defensibility, not by the hiring manager making the actual call. They get reused from old postings. And there is no established formal language yet for screening explicitly for judgment, so it never appears in writing, even when it is the deciding factor. A 2024 LinkedIn Talent Solutions survey found over 70% of hiring managers reported judgment and adaptability as more important to their hiring decision than 3 years earlier, while fewer than 15% of postings for those same roles mentioned either quality explicitly. That gap is the whole story. Hiring managers know what they want. They have not figured out how to write it down. So they ask indirect questions in interviews, and the candidates who treat those as the real test win disproportionately. Here is the mechanism. 4 steps. Step 1. Why descriptions lag judgment and adaptability are hard to specify as a checklist item. You cannot write must have good judgment in a screenable way. So the posting defaults to proxies years of experience, tool familiarity that are easy to screen, but weak predictors of what actually drives the decision. Step 2. The 3 unwritten criteria judgment under uncertainty. Evidence the candidate made real decisions with incomplete information and can explain the reasoning, not just the outcome. Learning speed. Evidence they encountered something unknown, figured it out, and applied it rather than evidence they already knew everything on day 1. AI fluency specifically, not technical skill, but evidence they have used AI tools critically and have a track record of catching where a tool got something wrong. None show up as a CV line item. All 3 show up clearly in how a candidate answers an open question. Step 3. How to demonstrate them. Most candidates answer with credentials and outputs. I have 5 years of experience. I delivered this project. Not wrong, just answering the written criteria, not the unwritten ones. The candidates who demonstrate the real criteria describe a specific decision under genuine uncertainty, what they chose, why, what they expected. They describe something they got wrong and how they updated. They describe catching an AI tool producing something subtly incorrect. It is not about more impressive material. It is choosing material that demonstrates the actual thing being screened for. Step 4. The interview as judgment demonstration. Every open-ended question is an invitation to demonstrate judgment in miniature. A strong answer is not what happened. It is what I considered, what I chose, why, and what I learned when the result came in. Jason answered with what happened and what I delivered. Competent, forgettable. The hiring manager could not tell how he reasoned through uncertainty, only what he produced. May answered with a specific call under real ambiguity, what she expected and what she adjusted. Her judgment was visible directly. in real time. Same role, same panel, same week. Jason's interview went smoothly. Clear, confident, drawing on real accomplishments. No specific complaint. But afterward, when the hiring manager tried to recall a moment that gave her real insight into how Jason thinks under uncertainty, she struggled. His answers were polished and complete. They did not show his reasoning. May's CV had a gap the posting would have technically screened against, but her answers consistently showed her thinking a judgment call under ambiguity. A moment she was wrong and corrected course. A concrete example of catching an AI error before it reached a client. The hiring manager could picture exactly how May would handle the next ambiguous situation. Not as clearly with Jason, despite his stronger paper qualifications. The decision was not close. One story. Prepared now, before your next interview or career conversation. A time you were wrong about something important, a call, a prediction, a read on a situation, and updated your view as a result. The structure, what you believed, what you decided, what actually happened, and what you did differently afterward because of it. This single story demonstrates judgment, learning speed, and intellectual honesty, simultaneously exactly what hiring managers are screening for informally, in every open-ended question. Most people avoid this kind of story, because being wrong feels like a weakness to hide. Right now, it is closer to the opposite. The candidate who describes being wrong clearly signals more trustworthy judgment than the one who can only describe being right. Have it ready. Not memorized word for word, just clear enough to come out naturally. Jason optimized for the job description. May optimized for what the hiring manager was actually trying to find out. The posting was never lying. It was just never the real test. The real test was always judgment, learning speed, and AI fluency assessed through open-ended questions, not through how closely a CV matched a list of requirements. The question for your next application is not, am I qualified on paper? It is, do I have a clear way to demonstrate judgment, learning speed, and AI fluency to someone listening for it, even though nobody will ask for those words directly? Getting hired this way is one challenge, and it is solvable with the right preparation. Staying valuable once you are in the role is a different problem entirely, because the same unwritten criteria that got you hired are the ones that determine what happens to you next. That is what comes next.